pays the tariffs?
The Chinese government pays the tariff.
No, they don't.
Who benefits from tariffs? Who really pays the price? Welcome to this episode of Unfiltered Nonprofit. Today, we're diving into tariffs, specifically the new 25% tariffs US government is imposing on most Canadian goods and Canada's 25% retaliatory tariffs against the US goods. And what does it mean to nonprofit leaders and nonprofit organizations? Now, tariffs is the hottest topic this past weekend. Specifically, we are going to talk about 25% tariffs that US government is imposing on most Canadian goods and Canada's 25% retaliatory tariffs against the US goods and what this means for real estate, home prices, and your wallet. So what really are tariffs? Well, so first, a tariff is basically a tax on imported goods. If a country imposes a 25% tariff on a product, that means it becomes 25% more expensive when it crosses the border. Let's take an example. A $100 bag of groceries originated from the US with a 25% tariff, that same bag now costs $125. Now, who pays for that $25 extra tax on the bag of grocery? The importer are going to pay that $25 on the imported groceries. And the importer, like any sound business people, they would not be the one absorbing that $25 extra tax that they have to pay to the government. So what they would do is that instead of charging $100 to you, they're going to charge $125 to everyday consumer. So ultimately, the everyday average people, you and I, would be the one paying for this 25% tariffs. Now imagine this happening not just with groceries, but also the building material, appliances, and furniture, things that directly affect Canadians' everyday life and also real estate. Now, do tariffs really work? Let's take a step further. Do tariffs actually help domestic industries or do they just make everything more expensive? Well, let's look at the real world example from the Wall Street Journal YouTube video, washing machines.
Washing machines, we're going to benefit our consumers and we're going to create a lot of jobs.
Now, a few years ago, during Donald Trump's first term, the US imposed tariffs on imported washing machines to protect American manufacturers. The idea was that if foreign washing machines became more expensive, people would buy American-made ones instead. But what actually happened? Well, it did create jobs, like how Donald Trump sold it. 1,800 jobs was created from these foreign companies opening plants in the U.S. to create to manufacture these washing machines, and they also collected through these plants about 82 million annually. Before we get all excited about this, how effective the tariffs work to achieve the goals that's being set out by Donald Trump, what they fail to anticipate is that the prices of all the washing machines actually went up, whether they were imported or made in the US. Remember, the goal of the tariffs is to increase the price of the imported goods so that people would be motivated to buy the local one. But instead, in this situation, the imported washing machines were more expensive as expected because of the tariffs, and the local manufacturers also took advantage of these opportunities to increase their profit margin, increase the price of the washing machine to match what is being charged by the imported machines. So as a matter of fact, they didn't just raise the prices on the washing machines alone. These manufacturers came together. They also raised prices on the dryers as well. In fact, studies have shown that American consumers pay an extra $1.5 billion in higher prices as a result of this tariffs on washing machines. In a nutshell, Americans collectively pay $815,000 to create each job to create this 1,800 jobs. So while tariffs were meant to protect local businesses, they ended up costing everyday consumers way more. Now, the big picture, how much are Americans paying in tariffs? Well, the US imports billions of dollars worth of goods from Canada, Mexico, and China every year. Under Trump's plan, they are going to charge 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods, 10% additional tariffs on Chinese goods. And how much does they actually cost average American? Well, here are the actual numbers. In 2024, the U.S. imported $429 billion of goods from Canada, $475 billion from Mexico, and $536 billion from China. A 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico plus a 10% on China means Americans are paying tens of billions of dollars more in extra taxes that they may not even be aware, that they may think that it was the foreign country governments are paying. In my simple mind, like I'm no economist, but in my little simple mind, I take 429 billion imported goods from Canada, multiply that by 25%, the Americans will be paying $107 billion on imported goods from Canada alone. Well, if I count China as well, that 10% tariffs, additional tariffs on Chinese imported goods, the Americans will be paying an additional $54 billion. If the washing machine example applies all across to the entire economy, all the goods that are being imported from Canada, Mexico, and China, the cost of living in America will rise dramatically. Yes, it will create some jobs, just like the case of for washing machine, but America will also lose many jobs related to the production of all these imported goods. But what about Canada? We live in Canada, we're Canadians. Canada also relies heavily on the US import. In 2024, Canada imported $435 billion worth of goods from the US. In response to this America's 25% tariffs, Canadian government announced this retaliatory 25% tariffs on various US goods. Well, with a 25% tariffs on many of these products, Canadians will also be paying billions more. And again, in my little simple mind, Canadian can pay as much as $109 billion annually towards this trade war. Of course, we Canadians will adapt and switch immediately. We are buying from local Canadian manufacturer, and we are seeing signs everywhere that says products of Canada. So then it encouraged Canadian consumer to purchase products that are made in Canada. Tariffs don't just affect businesses, they hit nonprofits, charities, and social services hard. Here's how. Number one, high operating costs for nonprofits. Many nonprofits rely on imported medical supplies, food, and equipment from the US. A 25% tariff means higher costs, making it harder to stretch budgets. Result, less funding available for programs and services. Number two, for food banks and shelters, these type of organizations will face price increases. If you run a food bank or shelter, expect higher prices for food and essential supplies. Nonprofits that buy bulk groceries, medical items, or hygiene products will see significant cost increases. Fewer donations may stretch resources even thinner. Now, number three, government and donor funding won't keep up. When nonprofits already struggle with limited budgets and inconsistent funding, increased costs from tariffs aren't matched by higher government grants or donor contributions. The pie is just getting smaller and smaller. Some nonprofits may need to cut services or staff to survive. Number four, supply chain delays impact aid programs. Tariffs disrupt supply chains, causing delays in nonprofit procurement. Organizations may struggle to receive materials for disaster relief, housing programs, and community services altogether. Now, number five, regional nonprofits will struggle even more. Local food banks, shelters, and healthcare nonprofits are often most affected. Smaller organizations with limited reserves will face tougher financial decisions. So, what's on the tariffs list? What kind of nonprofit-related products are getting hit with tariffs? Let's break it down. For nonprofit operations and supplies, it includes medical devices and equipment used by healthcare nonprofits, bulk food products critical for food banks and meal programs, office supplies and electronics affecting nonprofit administrations and outreach, Essential commodity goods. Essential commodity goods includes dairy products and groceries impacting food security programs, hygiene products and medical kits affecting shelters and aid organizations. Vehicle and transportation costs increase expenses for delivery programs. What does that mean? Less funding for services and more strain on community organizations, unfortunately. So what's the takeaway? Tariffs mean higher costs, tighter budgets, and potential service cuts for nonprofits. If you are an executive director at a nonprofit, this is something that you need to plan for. Until next time, make sure you buy Canadians. As we wrap up, I want to share a bit more about what we do at OTUS Financial Solutions. For the past 18 years, OTUS Financial Solutions has been dedicated to enhancing the financial management and strategic planning capabilities of hundreds of associations and nonprofits across Canada. Our extensive experience has enabled us to deliver tailored financial solutions that drive growth and enhance sustainability for nonprofits and associations. If you are interested in learning more about how OTUS Financial Solutions can support your organization, I would love to offer you a no obligation 20-minute call. Let's discuss your unique challenges and explore how we would be able to help you achieve your goals.